What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are checking out the latest action camera from DJI called the DJI Osmo Action 4. So the Action 4 is pretty similar looks wise to the Action 3. However, we have new internals and that means better video quality and more importantly better low light video. And as we all know, action cameras don't typically do that great for low light recordings, so any improvements in the low light capabilities are more than welcome. Now, I've had this camera for about a month now, so I got to use this camera in pretty much all situations. Biking, walking, running, swimming, motorcycling, car rides, pretty much everywhere that you can imagine I took this camera with me. So I want to make this video about real life situations and how the camera captures those real life situations. So we're going to be splitting this video into three sections. The first section has to do the video stabilization. I'm going to show you some samples so you can see how the camera performs for video stabilization, basically how steady the video is whenever you're moving with the camera. The second section will have to do the internal microphone, because the internal microphone is an important part of a camera, because you have to record yourself talking if you're vlogging with the camera. And the last part of the video will have to do the video quality. So I'm going to show you different resolutions in different settings, so you can basically see how the camera performs under all those situations. So the most important thing about the camera is how it captures video, of course. Before we do that, let me quickly show you the box and what comes in the box with it. Okay, so I have the Adventure combo. Basically in the box you're gonna find the camera. We also have this charging case for the 3 batteries. We have one of these extension rods. So this basically extends. This comes in very handy in a lot of situations. We also have like a little case for the camera. So basically everything you need is in the box here. This year we also get some very cool new accessories. So for example, we have an ND filter set. We have this wrist strap that I haven't actually found myself using. We have a chest mount. I actually use that chest mount on quite a few occasions. It comes in very handy. We have this little bike mount. So again, if you're biking, this will come in very handy. So a lot of new accessories that we get this year compared to last year's Action 3. So I guess they're expanding the line to what you can actually do with the action camera. Alright, and with that being said, let's start by checking out some videos where you can see how good the video stabilization on the new Action 4 is. So I'm going to show you some sample recordings just so you can see how the camera performs in different situations. So let's check those out and I will be right back. For our first test for video stabilization, we're recording in 4K at 30 frames per second and we have the video stabilization set to rock steady. And I'm just walking slowly and I'm also trying to keep the camera as steady as possible. We're gonna start running in a second. We're gonna turn around quick and run this way. And stop here for a bit and walk normally. So 4K at 30 frames per second and the video stabilization set to rock steady. Alright, so for our stabilization test riding the bike, I am recording in 4K at 60 frames per second and I have the stabilization set to rock steady plus. So let's go for a little bike ride. We'll go left, we'll go right, we'll go left once again, right, left, and I guess right once again, and we'll do left again. So that's how the footage would look like if you are riding the bicycle. Alright, so for our next stabilization test, I'm doing 4K 60 rock steady plus, and I just want to show you how the stabilization would work if you're climbing stairs and going down the stairs. We'll see how many stairs I can actually climb on, and we'll stop here and we'll go down. So this is how the video stabilization would work if you're recording in 4K 60 rock steady plus and the field of view set to wide. Moving on to our next test for video stabilization, now I switched the resolution to 4K at 60 frames per second and we are using the level of stabilization called rock steady plus. So once again, I am walking normally. I'm trying to keep the camera as steady as possible and we're gonna start running in a second. We'll turn around somewhere here and we'll run back this way. And we'll stop here and we'll walk normally. So 4K at 60 frames per second, Rocksteady Plus. So as you've seen for yourself, really good video stabilization in many of those scenarios that I just showed you. In some of them it looks so good that it almost looks like I'm flying a drone, not that I'm holding an action camera, so that good. So whatever you're gonna be doing with this camera, it will keep that footage nice and steady. Next, we're gonna move on and check out some sample recording so you can figure out how good the internal microphone inside this camera is. Keep in mind that this camera can also take an external microphone, and I've actually used that DJI mic with this camera on multiple occasions and it works really good. So if you want upgraded sound, if you're filming for a more professional, I don't know, setting basically, you can use that external microphone at any time. So let's check out those sample recordings and I will be right back. Okay, next we have a quick microphone test with the Action 4 outdoor. So I'm currently doing 4K at 30 frames per second. We have the video stabilization set to Rocksteady. As for the microphone settings, I am recording in stereo and I have the wind reduction set as well. We also have a car passing behind me now, so this is a good chance so you can actually hear how the camera will capture the sound under those conditions. Now, it's not overly windy out today. Maybe you'll be able to hear a bit of wind, but overall it's not that windy. So this is how the microphone on the Action 4 will capture sound outdoors under these conditions basically. Alright, so for the last section of this video, we are basically talking about the video quality. And for that, I'm gonna include a bunch of scenarios, a bunch of different resolutions, a bunch of fields of view, so you can see how the camera performs in more situations. If you are swimming, for example, or if you're riding a motorcycle, or if you are, I don't know, in a town somewhere. I'm basically gonna include all the scenarios that I could come up with. I also have some sunset videos and some nighttime videos towards the end of the video. So I'm gonna let you guys watch all those recordings so you basically get a better understanding about how good this camera is for video recordings. So let's check those out and I will be right back. Alright, so we have 4K at 30 frames per second, horizon lock on both cameras, and we're gonna have Alexandra go and look for this rock. So I'm gonna throw it that way and you'll go find it, yeah? Okay, let's do it. Let's do that again. The other way? Okay, ready?
Whoa.
And looks like she found it again. Action 4. So for this recording we are doing 4K at 30 frames per second. I have the video stabilization set to Rocksteady and the field of view is set to the widest available for the Action 4. So you cannot get any wider than this. For this test I basically wanted to show you how the camera would capture footage if you are inside the car, because obviously outside is brighter, inside here is darker. So you can see how the camera performs under these conditions. So 4K 30 and Rocksteady. Alright, and we're moving on to our next recording. So 4K at 30 frames per second and video stabilization set to Rocksteady. What did you buy, Alexa?
Fan.
Whoa, that looks cool. Let's see how you use it. Are you cool now? So 4K 30 frames per second, Rocksteady, and the field of view set to wide. Alright, and we're moving on to our next recording. For this recording we are doing 1080p at 60 frames per second. I have the stabilization set to Rocksteady Plus and the field of view set to wide. And I'm basically following Laura and Alexandra. We're gonna stop here, we're gonna pan right for a bit and up. And back left, and we'll walk this way. So this is how a recording in 1080p at 60 frames per second would look like under these conditions basically. And since we made it all the way to the top, I might as well show you a quick recording done in 4K at 30 frames per second with the video stabilization set to Rocksteady Plus and the field of view set to ultra wide. We'll pan left and down a bit. 4K 30 Rocksteady bike ride. And I also wanted to show you a quick recording done in 4K at 30 frames per second with the field of view set to wide just before sunset. So the sun is kind of setting, it's not as bright as it was in all the previous recordings. I basically wanted to show you how the camera would perform under these conditions. We have the video stabilization set to Rocksteady right now. I'm gonna stop here, I'm gonna pan right slowly and a bit up. So yeah, 4K at 30 frames per second on the DJI Osmo Action 4. Alright, we have our first recording in low light with the Action 4. So it's not totally dark out, it's just past sunset, but I wanted to show you how the camera performs under these conditions. So it's not totally dark out. We're currently doing 4K at 30 frames per second and I have the field of view set to wide and of course the video stabilization set to Rocksteady. We're gonna walk this way, so basically towards the castle here, and we do have a few more street lights around here. So just so you can see how the camera performs under these conditions. Alright, and it definitely got darker out. I'm still doing 4K at 30 frames per second. I have the field of view set to wide and of course the video stabilization set to Rocksteady. So I'm just gonna walk this way for a bit, just so you can see how the camera performs under these conditions. And we have some street lights around here as well. So just in case you're wondering how this camera performs at night basically. So what do you guys think about the video quality that I got from the Action 4? Is it good enough? Were you expecting better? Is it way better than you're expecting? Definitely leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. Now, one thing I want to mention, I use the camera in 40-degree weather most of the time, and I'm happy to report that it has never overheated. My GoPro 11 here overheats after about 20 minutes. This has not been the case with the Action 4. As for battery life, I get about 20% more battery life than I get from the GoPro 11. Just in case you're wondering, and to give you a bit of a reference for battery life and overheating basically. The camera also never froze during my usage with it. Just in case you're wondering. Alright guys, hopefully you found this video useful. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.